Then the company rose for the old campaigner. The grey-haired prince was ready for bed, and a need for rest came over the brave shield-bearing Geat. He was a weary seafarer, far from home, so immediately a house-guard guided him out, one whose office entailed looking after whatever a thane on the road in those days might need or require. It was a noble courtesy. The great heart rested, the hall towered, gold-shingled and gabled, and the guests slept in it until the black raven with raucous glee announced heaven's joy, and a hurry of brightness overran the shadows. Warriors rose quickly, impatient to be off. Their own country was beckoning the nobles, and the bold voyager longed to be aboard his distant boat. Then that stalwart fighter ordered Hrunting to be brought to Unferth, and bade Unferth take the sword, and thanked him for lending it. He said he had found it a friend in battle and a powerful help. He put no blame on the blade's cutting edge. He was a considerate man. And there the warriors stood in their war gear, eager to go, while their honored lord approached the platform where the others sat. The undaunted hero addressed Hrothgar. Beowulf, son of Ecgtheow, spoke. Now we who cross the wide sea have to inform you that we feel a desire to return to Higelac. Here we have been welcomed and thoroughly entertained. You have treated us well. If there is any favor on earth I can perform beyond the deeds of arms I have done already, anything that would merit your affections more, I shall act, my lord, with alacrity. If ever I hear across the ocean that people on your borders are threatening battle, as attackers have done from time to time, I shall land with 1,000 thanes at my back to help your cause. Higelac may be young to rule a nation, but this much I know about the king of the Geats. He will come to my aid, and want to support me by word and action in your hour of need. When honor dictates that I raise a hedge of spears around you, then if Hrethik should think about traveling as a king's son to the court of the Geats, he will find many friends. Foreign places yield more to one who is himself worth meeting. Hrothgar spoke and answered him. The Lord in his wisdom sent you those words, and they came from the heart. I have never heard so young a man make truer observations. You are strong in body and mature in mind, impressive in speech. If it should come to pass that Threthel's descendant dies beneath a spear, if deadly battle or the sword blade or disease fells the prince who guards your people, and you are still alive, then I firmly believe the seafaring Geats won't find a man worthier of acclaim as their king and defender than you, if only you would undertake the lordship of your homeland. My liking for you deepens with time, dear Beowulf. What you have done is to draw two peoples, the Geat nation and us neighboring Danes, into shared peace and a pact of friendship, in spite of hatreds we have harbored in the past. For as long as I rule this far-flung land, treasures will change hands and each side will treat the other with gifts across the Gannett's Bath. Over the broad sea, world prows will bring presents and tokens. I know your people are beyond reproach in every respect, steadfast in the old ways with friend or foe. Then the Earl's defenders furnished the hero with 12 treasures and told him to set out. Sail with those gifts safely home to the people he loved, but to return promptly, and so the good and grey-haired Dane, that high-born king, kissed Beowulf and embraced his neck, then broke down in sudden tears. 2 forebodings disturbed him in his wisdom, but no one was stronger. Never more would they meet each other face to face, and such was his affection that he could not help being overcome. His fondness for the man was so deep-founded it warmed his heart and wound his heartstrings tight in his breast. The embrace ended, and Beowulf, glorious in his gold regalia, stepped the green earth, straining at anchor, and ready for boarding. His boat awaited him. So they went on their journey, and Hrothgar's generosity was praised repeatedly. He was a peerless king until old age sapped his strength and did him mortal harm, as it has done so many. Down in the waves then, dressed in their web of the chain-mail and war-shirts, the young men marched in high spirits. The coast-guard spied them. Thane setting forth, the same as before. His salute this time from the top of the cliff was far from unmannerly. He galloped to meet them, and as they took ship in their shining gear, he said how welcome they would be in Geatland. Then the broad hall was beached on the sand, to be cargoed with treasure, horses and war gear. The curved prow motioned, the mast stood high, above Hrothgar's riches in the loaded hold. The guard who sat watching the boat was given a sword with gold fittings, and in future days that present would make him a respected man at his place in the mead bench. Then the keel plunged and shook in the sea, and they sailed from Denmark. Right away the mast was rigged with its sea shawl, sail ropes were tightened, timbers drummed, and stiff winds kept the wave crosser skimming ahead as she heaved forward. Her foamy neck was fleet and buoyant, a lapping prow loping over the currents, until finally the Geats caught sight of coastline and familiar cliffs. The keel reeled up, wind lifted it home, it hit on land. The harbour guard came hurrying out to the rolling water. He had watched the offing long and hard, on the lookout for these friends with the anchor cables. He moored their craft right where it had beached, in case a backwash might catch the hull and carry it away. Then he ordered the prince's treasure trove to be carried ashore. It was a short step from there to where Hrethel's son and heir, Hygelac the gold giver, makes his home on a secure cliff in the company of retainers. The building was magnificent, the king majestic, ensconced in his hall, and although Hygd, his queen, was young, a few short years at court, her mind was thoughtful and her manners sure. Heoreth's daughter behaved generously, and stinted nothing when she distributed bounty to the Geats. Great Queen Modthrith perpetuated terrible wrongs. If any retainer ever made bold to look her in the face, if an eye not her lord's stared at her directly during daylight, the outcome was sealed. He was kept bound in hand-tightened shackles, racked, tortured until doom was pronounced, death by the sword, slash of the blade, blood gushed, and death qualms in an evil display. Even a queen, outstanding in beauty, must not overstep like that. A queen should weave peace, not punish the innocent with loss of life for imagined insults. But Hemming's kinsman put a halt to her ways, and drinkers round the table had another tale. She was less of a bane to people's lives, less cruel-minded, after she was married to the brave Offa, a bride arrayed in her gold finery, given away by a caring father, ferried to her young prince over the dim seas. In days to come she would grace the throne and grow famous for her good deeds and conduct of life. Her high devotion to the hero king, who was the best king, it has been said, between the two seas or anywhere else on the face of the earth. Offa was honored far and wide for his generous ways, his fighting spirit, and his far-seeing defense of his homeland. From him there sprang Eomar, Garmund's grandson, kinsman of Hemming, his warrior's mainstay and master of the field. Heroic Beowulf and his band of men crossed the wide strand, striding along the sandy foreshore. The sun shone, the world's candle warmed them from the south, as they hastened to where, as they had heard, the young king, Ongentheo's killer and his people's protector, was dispensing rings inside his bawn. Beowulf's return was reported to Hygelac as soon as possible. News that the captain was now in the enclosure, his battle brother back from the forfray, alive and well, walking to the hall. Room was quickly made on the king's orders, and the troops filed across the cleared floor. After Hygelac had offered greetings to his loyal thane in lofty speech, he and his kinsman, that hale survivor, sat face to face. Heoreth's daughter moved about with a mead jug in her hand, taking care of the company, filling the cups that warriors held out. Then Hygelac began to put courteous questions to his old comrade in the high hall. He hankered to know every tale the sea Geats had to tell.